Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Collider Games. This isn't the Collider Games podcast, but it's also a special edition. We've been talking about this for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 2, the spoiler review. We've got in-house the big boss man, Marc Fernandez. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I finally beat the game last weekend, you know, and
Nice.
then so I finished it a few days before you did.
Yes.
And I guess this is really the first time we're going to get to talk about it,
Yeah.
all of us. Like before we started taping, Caboose and I were already finding that we had completely different endings.
Yeah.
You know, because I think
good.
So anyway, I'm doing good. I'm glad it's over, but It is quite the epic. It is quite the epic.
Yes, definitely. And also join us, Caboose, who finished the game, I think, what was like a week or two after the game came out? But you had to.
Of course.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Can you remember anything from the game?
Oh yeah. I consider it honestly one of my favorite games of all time. So yeah, it definitely has stuck in my memory quite a bit.
Yeah. I just finished it last night.
Okay.
Yeah, I put in a lot of work on it the last, I think, couple of weeks, knowing that we wanted to do this review for such a long time.
Spoiler. But you know, there's going to be heavy spoilers.
Yeah. If you don't want to know anything about this game, do not. This is for people who want to talk about and listen to. So let's start off with the ending. You mentioned that you had something different.
Yeah, I think
than Caboose. So what was your ending and what was Caboose's ending?
So when I was playing the game, when I first started playing the game, after you leave that sort of mining town up in the ice and you come down near Valentine, and then some of the side missions start opening up. I think the only side mission I think I ever did in the game was I went to the girlfriend once to save the brother from like that weird little cult. Which I think was a mandatory mission.
I think so.
I think it was a mandatory mission.
Yeah, I think so.
But then it opens up into like a side mission quest line, which I didn't do, and then there was one of the earlier missions. I didn't realize how important that mission was going to be, but there was an early mission giver in the first camp that you get to when you leave the ice, where the guy is talking to you, or he's collecting debts.
Yep.
Oh yes, Strauss.
Yep.
And there was a mission when you work for Strauss that I kind of just powered through. I kind of did it, sort of like fired and forget. But it's the mission now that I really think about it, and I think about this epic poem that is Red Dead Redemption 2, this like 75-hour epic, that one of those early missions is actually how you contract the tuberculosis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a mission where you're beating up this guy at a farm who's got like a brat kid.
Yes.
Remember that? He's got like a bratty kid?
Yes, I beat him up.
Yeah, you beat him up and he spits on you. And he spits blood on you. You don't think about it then, but that's actually how you contract the tuberculosis.
Wow.
Yep.
And you actually discover that later on in the game through another series of side missions that if you don't do, you don't get that sort of connective tissue between those two things.
That must be the reason why I don't know this.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Caboose, you didn't play like that?
Well, no, I didn't do the side missions, but I did find out, like I was, rewatching old videos and stuff, and I did find out that guy spitting on you is what got you the tuberculosis.
Yeah.
So what if you?
So just like long-winded way of saying, and look, we can talk about that too a little bit, but I think I'm the only person I know of all my friends that have finished the game that chose to go back for the money. You know, and
instead
of
helping out John.
Instead of helping out John, you know, and look, I think we could talk about that a little bit later. But one thing that I do want to ask you guys is, overall, were you powering through the game, or were you doing a lot of the side questing? Because like, I'm at 73% now, I think, or 74%. I think I'm 73. But I didn't do a lot of the side quest stuff. Like yesterday, I actually kind of missed the game a little bit, and I hunted my first legendary, and I hunted a legendary.
Ooh.
Yeah, I hunted a legendary boar just north in the Blue Water Marsh. I think it's called. Yeah. And just north of Saint Denis, and it's actually a lot of fun to do these legendaries. Did you finish all the legendaries, Caboose?
So I got everyone except there's one last one I think it's the legendary panther.
Yeah.
But the only way to get the legendary panther is you have to do a ton of crazy, ridiculous hunting challenges.
Yeah, you got to get the master. You got to get the master hunting challenge.
Yeah.
Before it opens up. And also that one's a little bit unique because that one is all the way at the other side of the map. You know, like look, one and like I don't know how you want to structure this because I have so many thoughts going around my mind, but one thing that I was a little surprised by is that the game, through the natural progression of the story and the whole thing, right? Like the entire story with the two characters that you play, you never go, you never open up the whole map.
No.
You know, there's still a huge part of the map that is still under fog for me that I've never even had to go to once.
You know, what's interesting too is towards the end of the game, after you start playing John Marston, you get Beecher's Hope, and you look at the map, you see Armadillo on the map over there, which is where, a lot of the stuff in Red Dead 1 happens.
Yeah, but it never asks you to go there once in the game.
No.
What do you guys think about that?
I loved that. Honestly, it's so cool that pretty much the Red Dead 1 map is in Red Dead 2. Like, a good chunk of the map that you had in Red Dead Redemption 1 is there. You get to go to Blackwater, Armadillo, Tumbleweed. I went to Armadillo, and it was honestly kind of creepy. Like everyone contracted a disease there, and it's like a ghost town.
Oh wow!
When you first show up, like the sheriff is leaving. He's like, I'm out of here. Yeah. So yeah, it was really cool. I love how big the map is. There's so much to explore. The hunting was for me after completing the story and doing side missions and stuff. That was what I found myself occupied with the most, not just because it was fun to hunt, but the customization, like the cool clothing that you can get out of hunting legendaries was awesome. So I was having just so much fun with that.
Yeah. So look, Dennis, what are your overall impressions of the story of the game? Let's maybe go one by one of the overall story.
Oh, for me, I absolutely love this game. This is definitely in my top games of all time. This is an epic Western. Like I even place it up there with the best Westerns of all time. Yeah. When you're talking about
it's really impressive.
Good, Bad, and the Ugly. You're talking about Once Upon a Time in the West. You're talking about
Unforgiven.
You're talking about shows like Deadwood. Like I place this game, and people who listened to me before, I liked the first game, but it never reached that level for me. This game does. The story, the characters, the dialogue, everything you do in it. And we'll talk about the ending later. I like the way it ended. I think it was very poetic the way it ends.
Well, for me, it ended very differently than it did for you guys.
Yeah.
And so to me, this is like one of those things where I think this game transcends just the video game medium, right? Like it is, to me, a master. We talked about this in a previous podcast. Is this a masterpiece? I consider this a masterpiece.
Absolutely.
I think it transcends just video games and is like from a storytelling standpoint, something that people should experience.
Yeah. I loved this game. I still, it's almost like when I think about other things that I'm really passionate about, like science or physics or nature, Star Wars. And I can't wrap my head around it fully, It's that big, the game is that big. And after dying, I grew very fond of Arthur Morgan.
Me too.
And I really liked Arthur Morgan. And I started to really connect with certain things. Like one of the things that I did right after I finally, finished the game with John Marston was go back to the frozen part of the map and get another White Arabian because towards the end of the game, there's a scene where you lose your horse.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh my God.
And Arthur Morgan loses his horse, and whatever horse you're on, I'm guessing is the horse that dies.
Yes.
But you lose all your horses in your stable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that to me, as it was happening, I had bittersweet feelings about it because I loved Arthur Morgan so much that I wanted to, just to backtrack one thing, the bad guy in this game, okay, like the foil of this game isn't that rich guy that Dutch kills on the train. I forget his name right now. Cornwall. Leviticus Cornwall.
Leviticus Cornwall.
No.
The bad guy isn't Dutch, okay? The bad guy aren't the O'Driscolls. The bad guy is Micah. Micah's the bad guy. And Micah's the one that the game expertly gets you to really hate.
Yes.
So when my horse died and I'm with Marston, and Marston is pretty much telling, you give Marston your satchel, which I thought was a really clever game device so that you can keep certain things. At that point, you don't know that you're going to lose everything.
No.
You're going to lose everything, except whatever's in your satchel. All your money is gone, and I remember, we all did that little exploit to get the 20, 30,000 gold.
Yeah.
All that is gone. But I knew Marston was going to be okay because I played Red Dead 1.
Yes.
And Marston is a tough guy. He doesn't need a babysitter. I thought even the concept of giving Marston a babysitter was insulting, And there's a question that I want to ask you guys, but just to finish this thought. So I said, "Fuck this! I'm going to go kill Micah."
Okay.
Because I thought if I'm
so it wasn't about the money; it was about killing Micah.
It was about killing Micah.
Yeah, because the money to me was useless because your character's dying, right? Arthur Morgan's dying. What's he gonna do with money?
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the money.
Yeah.
I had money.
Yeah.
I had more money than I could ever spend in that game. But Micah and Dutch stole the money and had the money. And I wasn't gonna let them keep the money.
So it was more like a vendetta, right?
Hey,
I'm not gonna let you use that. I don't care if it burns up or whatever, as long as you don't get to use it.
Yeah. I want to go kill Micah, and I want to go steal their money because they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
So that's why I let Marston go off at his. He's friggin' John Marston. He doesn't need a babysitter. That's why. Why did you guys choose to go with Marston? Is it just was it a morality ethics thing? I mean,
yeah, it was like a their brothers in arms kind of thing. They always had this little feud throughout the entirety of the game where Arthur didn't really like John, but they sort of you could see that Arthur started to really care about him towards the end. And yeah, I just didn't want to leave him behind. I know he's gonna live. I know he's gonna make it to Red Dead 1, but it was more of just let the journey end with them being together and being brothers truly. The last two that stuck together out of that whole family, the Dutch's gang crumbling beneath each other. So yeah, that's why I went with him. And yeah, the ending is rough. It is sad. Right when the horse died, I was like, oh man,
yeah,
this is gonna
what horse
me.
What horse did you have equipped when it died?
I had, which one did I have? I think it was the White Arabian. Or it was maybe the pre-order bonus one that's super fast and really, really efficient. It was a horse for sure, I'll tell you, that I had for a long time in the game. It was something that I had used for a majority of my playthrough in Red Dead 2. But yeah, it was just, it was starting to tug on my heartstrings. The best way that I can explain how much this game has affected me and why I love it so much, there's a scene that takes place, I think, towards the end of Chapter 5. Where you just get back to the main city, after the whole fiasco on the island. And you're riding back to one of the later camps, and D'Angelo's Unshaken starts playing. And the game literally tells you, it's go into cinematic mode while the song plays, and your character just rides. And I was like, wow, I had chills down my spine.
Yeah.
It was just this experience, this overwhelming experience of, I am Arthur Morgan. This is everything that I've gone through right now, and it's just it's hard to explain how much I loved this game. But that was a moment for me where I was like, "Wow, this is transcending any kind of video game I've ever played. It is truly at this point a masterpiece for me. And then it just kept going. It just kept getting better. So yeah, the ending was crazy.
Let's talk about Gorma for a second. You know, one of the things that I did love about this game was that, and I must admit that I was trying to power through the story, and even trying to power through the story, you're still committed for a 70-hour game.
Yeah.
But sometimes you couldn't help but do the sandbox elements. You know, go to this town, get your horse. You know, maybe go get a haircut. You know, like my guy was very well, you know, usually pretty well groomed. Buy a new outfit, you know, like all this sort of shower, go get a drink, go eat.
My guy never showered once in the whole game. The whole game, never showered.
Did people like say anything?
No, they never said anything.
I bathe regularly.
No,
I bathe regularly. Well, there's also an easy way to bathe, which is just jump in the water.
Maybe I jumped in the water too much, and maybe that's why I didn't need it or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Did you feed your horse?
Yeah, I fed my horse.
Yeah.
Fed my horse. I pet him a lot.
What horse did you die with?
I died with the war horse. It was a pre-order bonus.
Yeah.
So I died with him. But when you guys mentioned that part, it's like it was very touching when Arthur Morgan goes up to him and he goes, "Thank you."
Yeah.
To the horse, because it's like that horse did so much for Arthur Morgan.
Yeah.
Like without that horse, Arthur Morgan would be dead long time ago.
And this is why the game is so brilliant, because the horse, you know, the money, all these things, you're already fucking sick, you're gonna die. Like, why would you not go back and try to kill Micah? Because the narrative didn't hint at you. Because look, I know now that I went back to my save and I played it the other way.
Okay.
You know, the other ending is pretty much the same thing.
You're fighting Micah and Dutch or whatever.
Yeah.
Or actually, just Micah. Dutch just happens to
But
pop up.
they kind of ambush you instead of like you going to them, you know? And when you're fighting them, like you can barely stand up and the tuberculosis is really starting to kick in. Yeah. And one thing that Caboose didn't know, and I don't know if you realize, because maybe now I'm not remembering the Buck ending as well. In the wolf ending, or in the bad ending, I guess in the money ending, Micah stabs you in the back.
I don't think he stabs you in the back. No, he didn't stab you in the back.
Yeah, no. In my ending, you get beat up.
Yeah.
And then after enough of the fighting, you're kind of crawling towards a gun that's been knocked away. And just as you're about to reach it, Dutch steps on it. He's like, enough. Him and Micah kind of go separate ways. Like Dutch and Micah go separate ways. Yeah. And then Arthur just dies. Like he just
he's on the mountain. He's on his mountaintop on the rock, and he just lies there and he just dies.
And then Unshaken starts playing again, and I'm like tearing up.
It was like a kind of a victory for him, because even though he didn't win that fight, he convinced, at least at that moment, we don't find out until later with what happens to Dutch, but at that moment, he convinces Dutch to separate from Mike.
Right.
Well, it's also beautiful because I noticed this too. Like some people were pointing out on the Reddit that there's a line from Arthur where he gets asked, he's like, "How would you like to die?" And he's like, "Honestly, I don't think about it too much. As long as I'm watching the sunset, I'm okay."
Yeah.
You know, and that's the way that the game ends in the I guess you call it the good ending.
Yeah.
Quote unquote. Where he's on top of the mountain and he watches the sunset, and it's so beautiful.
And I look, one thing after that happened, okay?
Yeah.
And you wake up as John Marston, which at the time I was like, wow, is this genius or do I hate this? Okay, like this was like when it first happened, right?
Okay.
And I felt the loss of Dutch, and I was like, okay, I'm John Marston.
You mean Arthur Morgan?
No.
Oh, you feel the loss of Dutch?
No, I'm sorry. I felt the loss of Arthur. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, felt the loss of Arthur. I'm John Marston on this farm, trying to get work on this farm, and the way that the game rewinds the tone, and like you've just grinded through a 70-hour game, right? Your max level, right? To use an MMO like analog, your max level character. And then all of a sudden, you're right back to square one, it feels like. You have no horse, no money, no weapons, nothing. Okay, and I didn't mind that so much. What I minded, which eventually turned out to be, I think, the most genius thing about this game, is what I minded was that I didn't fulfill what I eventually started to realize was the point of the game, which was to kill Micah. You know, like earlier on, you start to realize Micah's, like after Josiah dies in that great scene at the bank robbery, okay? And Josiah, who's kind of like the balance to Dutch, dies, and Micah becomes more like the second in command type of guy. Everything starts falling apart, and you really start to hate this guy, you know? And then when nobody wants to help you, go get Marston out of jail. Okay, that's one huge point, I thought. When Marston gets shot during that last train robbery, you know, and like nobody wants to go back for him. Nobody wants to go back for his family, you know, for Jack and Abigail. And I was like, okay, well, Micah's at the center of this, right? Like the resolution of this game needs to be Arthur Morgan killing Micah. So when I didn't get that, I started to feel like, I got a little bit cheated out of it. But the more I started to play with John Marston, you know, and I started to like get this thing that almost everything that Marston was doing now was in debt to Morgan. You know, it starts building up this almost this greater, incredible resolution that's maybe possible in novels, maybe possible in poetry. Like it's a dead man, like revenging. I'm sorry, it's Marston revenging a dead man. That's ultimately what the conclusion of the story is, and it was brilliant. And like I know I'm ranting a little bit here, but to me, the moment where this game became something else. Look, and it's almost like to your point, you say 1%, 1 hour. Every percentage of this game, the game became something different. When you see Dutch coming out of that.
The betrayal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, talk about a great crafted twist, because I knew I was going to go get Micah, because they're setting Micah. And Dutch is such a big part of Red Dead Redemption 1 that I thought maybe Dutch is gone now. You know, like I didn't think he would resolve his story. I thought it was really much you and Micah. So I was legit surprised when I saw Dutch coming out of that barn.
Because they parted ways in the Arthur Morgan's ending. So
you know what's crazy too is there's an even darker ending. So if you had your honor level like really low, apparently when you're on that mountaintop, like Micah just stands over you and shoots you in the head. And like for me, if that happened to me, I would be so upset. You don't even understand, because I'd be like, really?
I need to watch some. I need to watch these things on YouTube.
Yeah. So I'm happy that I got the Buck ending, but that moment when you're up on that mountain and you're tracking down Micah and you've got him cornered, and Dutch walks out of that cabin, it's just like, oh shit.
Yeah, it was a slap in the face.
Yeah, it's like, I knew you were gonna be a bad guy, but damn it, you had to be working with Micah. You just had to.
Yeah, and like, you know, talking about just gameplay again, that last level was difficult. And there were no checkpoints. If you died, it sent you all the way back
to the beginning. I love that last level through the snow. I love the way, because the game starts in the snow and it ends in the snow.
Of course, yeah.
And it's like, I love the whole feeling of it. The music. Woody Jackson, I think, is the composer.
Yeah.
He did the one for Red Dead 1. He did GTA 5. The music was beautiful.
Yeah,
it was so,
and like there was like some folk songs in there that were
more so in the epilogue. They had like some campier. Yeah.
Oh, I love the scene where you're building Beecher's Hope. It's so good.
Yeah, that scene is funny because like Me Too. That scene might be one of my favorite in the entire game.
Oh, really?
I don't disagree.
Just building the
house, building the house, and the gameplay was even like. It was actually kind of interesting, and like you were actually the whole mission of you going to like buy the house in Blackwater, and then you get jumped in the middle, and then you finally get all the wood back, and Uncle and Charlie, and building the house, and knowing in the back of your head that you're doing this for your wife. The game really makes you. It's funny because like I got the bad ending, and I got the wolf because I ultimately, my honor wasn't so high. I didn't get shot in the head, but I got stabbed in the back. So my Arthur Morgan was on the spectrum of evil, and the game truly conditioned me to try and go good with Marston.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it.
I mean, what I loved about the whole epilogue too is that you get John Marston. He starts off trying to like farm and shit, and you pick up shit, you milk a cow.
Oh, the shit! I mean, the shit is a huge motif of the entire game.
But it puts you as John Marston trying to live this life, like grinding his life out. This is what a real farmhand, a real cowboy does, not the guns and shit. But then because you want to go out there and shoot stuff, you can feel that pull that John Marston has. John Marston wants to go do that shit too. Yeah. He doesn't want to be cleaning up all this crap or whatever. And then I think when you talk about Arthur Morgan dying and giving that satchel and stuff, we're talking about the Red Dead redemption, right? The redemption is of Arthur Morgan, who's like such a, we like him, we love his character, but he did a lot of bad things. Even if you play it pretty honorable, you still do a lot of bad things. You kill a lot of people and whatnot. And his redemption is saving John Marston and giving him a path. And then John Marston, they take his character and they use it to fulfill the things that Arthur could not do. So Arthur had his lady, Mary, who he wanted to be with but couldn't be with. He couldn't have a family with her. He couldn't go run away with her. He couldn't marry her. He couldn't do all that stuff.
And he lost his family too. Like he mentions in the game how he had a wife and kids that were killed.
And, And then Marston, he gets to do that stuff. That's why he has Arthur's ring and proposes to his wife. And then also the whole that date, the whole reason of the date, that was just like art, because I don't think you played this mission, but there's a mission where you go to, I think it's in Saint Denis.
Saint Denis.
Yeah. Where you, when you're Arthur Morgan, you find Mary and you go and you spend a day with her and you can take her to the theater and whatnot. And you watch
I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
And you do that.
I took Abigail to the theater.
And so that's like a parallel that, okay, here's Marston doing the same thing. So in the theater for Arthur Morgan, you're trying to Mac on the married chick, and so they have this option where you can put your hand around her, right? Yeah. And every time you do it, she pushes away. There's no way throughout the whole show. Every time you do it, she pushes away.
Arthur's girl.
But
because not Abigail. Abigail is about it.
Yeah. So, but then in Marston's one, he takes her to the theater. He puts her arm around, and he can do it. You know what I mean? So he's fulfilling that kind of what Arthur Morgan wanted his life to be. And so I feel like that's him living that life is redemption for Arthur.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good way to look at it. I'm sorry, go ahead, Caboose.
I was just going to say, it's crazy because if I were to explain to somebody who maybe doesn't play Red Dead Redemption and I was like, in the epilogue, you build a house,
clean shit.
Everyone would be like, what? That sounds so stupid. But when you actually play the game and everything that you've been through with Arthur, leading up to that point, playing as John, just building a house, it feels so pure. It's like, wow. I'm not out here shooting people. I'm not killing people. I am just doing a nice, fun thing with friends. And it's such a great moment. I agree with you, Mark. It's one of my favorite moments in the game. It feels like I'm watching a scene from a film, like one of those hopeful montages from a film. And especially, too, because we know where it leads to in Red Dead 1. I love that a lot of the epilogue is basically that setup. You build Beecher's Hope and all that stuff. So it was just great.
It's perfectly a setup.
Yeah.
For Red Dead 1 and a resolution for RDR 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like a perfect bridge between these two games. And one thing, another little nuance thing that I loved about the ending, and the ending was so good, because you're left with this bitter taste in your mouth of Micah. Mm-hmm. To the point where you're like, man, okay, I get it. Now I'm John Marston, and I'll probably end up where I ended up, right before Red Dead 1. You kind of know that right away. Yeah. But it doesn't feel good, because you're like, fuck, I'm Arthur. I was Arthur for all this time. I wanted to kill Mike. I couldn't kill Mike, and now I'm Marston. And I guess I'll play this epilogue. But as you're playing the epilogue, you start to realize that almost the epilogue is better than the entire game, because of how elaborate it is conceptually. Because you got to go get a loan from the bank, okay? And now there's this game mechanic where you're with Sadie, and you're out there doing these bounty hunting missions, okay? That sets up a little bit of the open world stuff that you can do after the game ends. It kind of teases you like, hey, if you want to do more bounty hunting missions, this is how you do it. But you don't even get to keep that money.
No, it goes right to the bank.
It goes right to the bank, which is like, again, it's like, damn, like this is so different, But one thing that I love, there's two things I want to get to here. One thing is I loved how the house looks so new when you first move into it, And then when those ranchers give you furniture and it starts becoming more elaborate, having the dinner with Uncle, and like the relationship with Uncle, was great. But here's a question. I had about 20,000 gold or $20,000 when I died as Arthur Morgan. Okay, there's a scene where you give the gold to Jack and Lily, I believe was her name, and you say, take this money.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not your gold, but you give her your share of the robbery. Which is a substantial share.
Yeah.
It was like an entire bag of money. And they take the money. So Jack Marston has that money with Lily. What happened to that money?
I can't remember. Don't you start the epilogue with a bit of cash or no?
No, he's zero.
No, he's
zero.
Oh yeah, that's right, because you're going out for work. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting paid $1 to milk some cows.
I don't know. Maybe Tilly took it because in the you see she's living a high life in the the end credit montages.
Yeah,
she's got a husband and she's
So she stole the money.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I think because of the exploit, right? Like I think I don't know, like maybe most people didn't have that much money.
When you beat the epilogue, you get a ton of cash off of. Off of Micah, anyways. I
got 20,000 gold.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
It was quite a bit.
I didn't even look at it.
It's enough to set you for forever. You will not run out of money.
But it was one little thing where I was like, well, wait a minute. I gave all my money to Jack and Tilly. Where did it end up? But to your point about the epilogue or the end credit scene, which I thought was brilliant. Showing you the gang. Another thing that I've done with the game is that if you go to, I believe it's Rhodes. I think it's Rhodes. If you go to Rhodes and you go to the trapper in Rhodes or the butcher in Rhodes, it's the butcher that was in your camp.
Oh, Pearson, right?
Pearson.
Oh no, Pearson. He owns he's not a butcher. He owns like a convenience store.
Oh, a general store. You're right. You're right. It's a general store. And
can you talk to him?
He recognizes you, and on the wall there's a picture of the whole gang.
Yeah,
they
show them on.
Then who else is still out there?
I wonder, can you run into Tilly in Saint Denis?
Tilly is in Saint Denis. I haven't run into her yet. Okay. Have you?
I did. Yeah, I think she's pregnant when you run into her.
Wow.
Yeah. You can run into Tilly. You can run into a lot of the people. They show you.
God, I wonder if you can hog tie her and get her to tell her give you Arthur's money's back.
You took Arthur's money, didn't you?
Yeah, give me back Arthur's money.
Oh man! You mentioned Sadie Adler. Let's talk about her character because she's a ride or die chick, man.
Yeah.
Like she's the girl that I was like, Arthur, you should sleep with her. And then after Arthur died, I was like, Jack, you should sleep. Look. Like, I know Jack loves Abigail, or John. John loves Abigail.
Not Jack.
Man, she nags you a lot, man. Like, I don't want to hear that. Look at Sadie. She's down. She's like, let's go kill some people.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, let's get with her instead. But
look, but remember, again, a credit to the storytelling of Red Dead Redemption 2. Look at how Sadie started the game.
A widow.
A widow that I think you rescue from a burning house or something like that?
The Driscolls are in there. And then you go in there and then she attacks you thinking you're part of the Driscolls.
Right.
Because they had killed her
but she was a mess.
Husband and kid, I think.
She was a mess when you first got to her.
Yeah.
You know? I think if I had to sum up or pick one scene in the game where I'm like, okay, this is kind of arduous and I want to get past this, but at the same time, it's the scene that's kind of haunted me the most of the entire game. And I forget the character's name right now. He dies in Saint Denis shootout on the roof, but it's that scene in Valentine where you get absolutely wasted.
Oh, with Lenny.
Lenny.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets killed in Saint Denis. Yeah. He gets drunk. You get drunk with him. That's an awesome scene.
Yeah, that might be to me what I thought was the best scene of the whole game. Like you getting drunk with Lenny.
And then he's trying to find him, Lenny, and then everyone looks like Lenny.
Yeah.
And then they kind of have another drunken scene after you build the house with you, Charles, and Uncle.
And Uncle, yeah.
It's a shorter scene, but it was kind of fun just to see you
with
guys.
the song. They were singing the song.
Yeah. That was fun.
That was good.
Yeah, it's funny because like I remember playing the game and hearing them singing the song and thinking like, why are these three grown ass criminals singing this song? But then I started thinking to myself like, yeah, like you know what? I'm there. Like there's no radio, there's no television, there's no, nothing. These guys are just hanging around singing, and that's entertaining for them. You know,
and they're drunk.
And they're drunk. When I started as John Marston, I started with a thoroughbred horse. Did you guys? What kind of horse did you guys start with?
I don't remember, but I think it might have been a thoroughbred. It wasn't a very good horse. It tired out very easily.
What did you get, Caboose?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a thoroughbred, and then I went straight to Blackwater because I remember hearing that apparently Blackwater stable has the best horse in the game, and that is the Rose Gray Arabian. So as soon as I got enough money, I just bought that, and that was my horse till the end.
Yeah, the Rose Gray Arabian. Okay, that's interesting. I bought an Arabian also, but I bought a black one.
Yeah, that's the second fastest.
And so I named, and look, this is when I started realizing that this game was working. I named my first horse, my thoroughbred horse. I named him Arthur. Then when I went to go get my second white Arabian and I went back to the mountains with Arthur, with John Marston riding on Arthur, I named that one Morgan. And I dyed, this is like some RP nerd shit, but I dyed the hair of the white Arabian to that kind of dirty blonde. So now I got two horses, Arthur Morgan, the thoroughbred and the
Nice.
No. I'm sorry, because the thoroughbred already has a name. I think it's like Frank or something like that. It comes with a name.
Okay.
My black Arabian was Arthur. My white Arabian is Morgan.
Okay.
And you eventually get all the weapons and everything that you used to have. All the weapons that I bought. You eventually get them all back. Yeah, I mean, look, man. If I were to give this game a score, okay, it's an 11 out of 10. It really goes above and beyond anything that you could possibly want out of a video game. I know that there's nitpicks that people have about the controls,
the controls,
the targeting of items. Even though I think the targeting in combat works too good. It makes it too easy sometimes, I thought.
Yeah.
The targeting inside a very tight space of items is a little tough, but that was like
minor.
Yeah, so minor.
Yeah.
It's a lot more of a problem in the online when time doesn't slow down when you pull out the weapon wheel. So at least you have that in the single player. You pull out the weapon wheel and everything just slows down for a second. That gives you enough time to think and figure things out.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the weapon wheel implementation. It's a little always hard to get. It's a little
difficult.
Yeah, to get to stuff. Yeah, definitely there's little tiny gameplay or control issues that, but they don't, detract so much from the actual game. And I think that's maybe, look, I people get on my case because I hadn't played God of War yet, and a lot of people are like, God of War is the game of the year, and I haven't played it yet. But I have a feeling that God of War is a more control, like it's probably a better fighting system.
But like, not to get controversial here, but when I'm on the podcast, it's gonna get a little, it's gonna get a little heated. Let me tell you why God of War is the game of the year.
Okay.
Let me tell you exactly why. Okay. And it's actually a very smart reason. Okay.
Okay.
The guy who runs the video game awards. Okay. He's a legend in the video game industry. He's a guy who goes by the name of Jeff Keighley. Okay.
Yep.
Now he's a legend in the video game industry. Okay. He knew nobody from Rockstar would show up. So it's not like the Oscars or something of that scale where it's like if somebody doesn't show up, it's okay
to give out the award.
Like Sam Hauser's not showing up for no video game award. Dan Hauser's not showing up for no video game award. The guys from God of War will definitely show up for a video game award. You know, so if you think about it, you're trying to make a good show. You're trying to make a big show because the video game awards are, this year it was pretty big, but relatively small show. You got to give the people a show, and no one's going to get mad if you give it to God of War over Red Dead Redemption 2 because you have all the people say, "Oh, God of War is God of War is an orange slice in the gigantic mandarin or orange that is like Red Dead Redemption 2. Like you can't even. These two things aren't even on the same planet. You know.
Damn.
You know, it's like
I did really like God of War. You know, I finally got around to playing it because the people in the comments were not happy.
Yeah. Look, and look, I'm putting my flame guard on. You know, like we used to say back in the day. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do like God of War, and narratively it's great, and the gameplay is fantastic. But there's just something about Red Dead where it's not just a game that I played and it was like, yeah, that's a great game. This was like an experience for me. This felt cinematic. It felt narratively one of the best stories ever told in video games, for me at least.
Yeah.
And the
up
character
there with
Morgan,
KOTOR, up there with like Final Fantasy VII. It's up there with like some of the greatest stories ever told in video games.
And Arthur Morgan is one of the best protagonists, or I guess you can call him an antagonist, whatever you want to consider him, in video games. And we've only had one game with him. You know, there's just so much packed into Red Dead 2. I'm not upset that God of War won, and maybe what you're saying here, Mark, could be true. But overall, I do think that at the end of the day, Red Dead 2 deserved that game of the year, because with God of War, when you're done, it's a linear story and you're done. You know, you play through the missions, the game is over. When you play Red Dead 2, you play through the missions, you play through the main story. It's not done when the story is done. There's still so much more to do. And that's, I think, what I feel is why Red Dead 2 deserved that game of the year, because for the map to be of the size of Red Dead Redemption 2's map size, it should feel like, oh, I'm getting bored of this. You know, it should feel like,
or empty, empty.
And you should have this feeling of it's just an empty road constantly, you know? But it's never like that.
No.
There's always something to do in every inch of this map. And it's unbelievable to me. It's unheard of.
It's like
Rockstar pulled that off.
Perfect example. This was with John Marston. So this is post finishing the game. So the game's over at this point. I'm like reading online how to like prepare certain things because I'm trying to catch all the legendaries, even though I've only caught one because I didn't do the bear. Like I never went back for the bear. But I got the boar, and like I'm trying to, for some of them you need to develop special kinds of baits and stuff like that, or you need to like once you get the legendary to get the talisman, some of them you need to like have 2 or 3 different pieces. So I was trying to fish for a bluegill for I forget what the hell I was trying to get. So I'm trying to fish for this bluegill, and on the other side of the lake I see these 2 guys in a canoe. You know, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. There's just 2 guys in a canoe. Then I see another guy ride up to like on a horse to the guys in the canoe, and the guys in the canoe going in. I'm like fishing. I'm like watching this, like if it was real life. I mean, it was like the blurring of the lines of this game are just unbelievable. Then one of the guys in the canoe gets out, and they start screaming at the guy on the horse. And then the other guy in the canoe shoots the guy. And it's just like I mean, this is completely random.
Yeah, it's not the game or whatever. It's not the...
It's like maybe it knew that I was at the lake and it spawns the canoe and then like something like it wants me.
But it made it feel organic.
It's incredible. And then like that's, again with John Marston, I'm like going to the stables because I like geeking out on my horses. It's like collecting cars, like back in GTA Vice City. So I'm like checking out this, like the stables, and I'm cruising down the main street of Valentine, and then some guy gets knocked in the face and gets thrown through the window of the bar, and then another guy jumps on top of him. They start fighting. I'm so close that the guy looks up at me and starts punching me in the face. Now I'm in the middle of this bar brawl, right? Like I'm trying to stay away from the law, It's just like, I mean, come on, compare that to get your axe and throw it on the thing so you can unlock the little thing so the stair falls down and you can climb up the little rope and go across the bridge and oh, wow, that's great gameplay. I mean, it's... I mean, look, I know I'm going to get stuff for this, but it's apples and orange. It's not even apples and oranges because apples and oranges are fruit. It's like oranges and like grass, it's like it's two such different things. But look, 11 out of 10. Red Dead Redemption 2 is absolutely incredible. My big complaint about it is probably that it was so damn long. And I love that about it because it was like a TV show or a novel. But it took me a really long time to play this game,
To finish it because it's fucking long.
And at times I feel like there was no end in sight, But now when you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, the story's not that long. I saw this video online that had all the cutscenes together. Yeah. And that video is like 16 hours long. Wow. Just the cutscenes.
Just the cutscenes? Damn.
Incredible. So what do you score it?
For me, it's a, I really give things 10 out of 10. So, but it's like a 9.9 out of 10, It's like so close to being perfect, it's a piece in video game history to me. Like, that's why I got, of course I'm a little more biased, but I was like, oh, it didn't win game of the, this is something that's supposed to be like an achievement in video game history. Like, people will be talking about this game.
It's an achievement in entertainment culture.
Yeah. Interactive storytelling. This is like an achievement. And so I don't know. I just can't think about, I'll be thinking about this game long past, just recently, you know what I mean? Because, I'll be honest, the first Red Dead, I didn't really think much about it after I finished it,
The first Red Dead was all about the online.
Yeah.
For me, anyway, the first Red Dead was all about posseing up with your boys online, taking over those, forts that they had. For me, it was all about the online. I never finished the story in the first game.
I liked the story in Red Dead 1, and I remember that the reason it was such a big deal back in the day was because the guy you play as dies, and it's whoa, wait, what? That's a thing? This is an open world game. How am I supposed to continue playing? So that was such a out of left field concept that Rockstar decided to throw in there, and I remember that's why it ended up being such a big deal because you became so attached to John Marston. He's such a pure good dude, and at the end, just everything that's completely unfair, that shouldn't happen, and the happy ending that you were expecting and hoping for his character is not what you get. And that's something that Rockstar pulled off really well with Red Dead 1, and they do the same in Red Dead 2. All the same with John Marston. Arthur Morgan doesn't have a happy ending. He dies. He loses pretty much everything that mattered to him. His horse is gone. He trusted Dutch so much, and he was such a family to that gang, and they all left him. And the only person he had left was the one person he didn't really like, which was John Marston. Right. And then he ends up dying, So it's kudos to Rockstar for being able to pull something like that off and not receiving hate for it, they make it work.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And not to mention, let's just talk about, there's other metrics that you can look at, right? Everything that I'm saying now is very subjective. I like this more than that. The story is better here than the story is better there. And then you and I talk about this all the time when it comes to filmmaking. My personal favorite director is Stanley Kubrick, and you can argue all day about that, right?
Yeah.
But I think if there's an argument to be made about who really is the greatest director of all time, I think that really, when it comes down to it, the greatest director of all time is James Cameron. Okay, because James Cameron has 2 of the top 3 movies of all time. He had 2 of them until, The Force Awakens, did what it did. But this guy just knows how to have people consume his content.
Yeah.
Okay? Look at the sales of RDR2 compared to the sales of God of War. If anything, was Fortnite up for Game of the Year?
It was for ongoing game.
Okay,
just
but not
different categories. Yeah.
Okay. Because Fortnite, I think, is the only other game that can really compete with Red Dead. And they're probably on very, very similar footing of what advancements they've been able to do in gaming to be called
for consumers.
To consumers, and gaming, both of them. I mean, the thing about Fortnite that made it as special as it is that stuff like PUBG and games that came out before it that already had a lot of these similar components weren't able to scale as effectively as Fortnite was. Because Fortnite, built by Epic being around in the game industry for fucking 30 years, their infrastructure could handle the load. So you can always get a game. You could always get a game and you never had to wait. It was instant gratification back in the thing. With Red Dead, the technological achievement of Red Dead is so sophisticated. I mean, it is sometimes I'm driving around in that game and the sunset is perfectly looks like a perfectly colored sunset. Then you just look around and you're like, what the hell
the graphics
is this?
are amazing. The animation, the great thing too is the animation's everyone plays games and they have their standard animation, walking, whatever.
Yeah.
They took the time for the story elements to create specific animations for the character just so they can do certain things. Like, for example, in the epilogue, I'll use it because it's the most recent, hanging what's his face, Cleet or whatever the hell his name is from Micah's. You have to kind of take him down so you can figure out where Micah is.
Oh, that was a great scene.
They have all this animation that's specifically.
See, I chose not to hang him.
Oh, I hung him. I hung his ass.
You hung his ass.
Yeah. Sadie told me to, and I was like, all right, I'll do it.
I didn't do it. What about you, Caboose? Did you hang him?
I didn't do it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I didn't do it, but I think Sadie just ends up killing him anyways, right?
Yeah. What happens is Sadie shoots him in the stomach and he dies anyway.
Yeah.
And she shoots him in the stomach and he falls off the back and still hangs.
Yeah.
With a gunshot in his in his belly.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
So good. Good.
The lighting, the animation, the graphics,
the skinning animations. I mean, I'll kill animals just to see the different skinning animations. I mean, the game is absolutely incredible. For the first time playing the entire game, I actually got killed by a gator because I was trying to find the legendary gator and some other gator got me. Because I thought that you can try to kill the gators with the hunting knife, and I've been having a tough time killing the gators with just the knife. So I get too close and then they bite me. But I mean, this game is unbelievable. One last thing for me, because I haven't really played it that much, only a little bit, is there an elaborate story to the online as well? What are your thoughts with the online, Caboose? Have you been playing it?
I honestly haven't been playing it too much, and unfortunately, it kind of looks like it's a little dead right now. I mean, it's still in beta. Maybe when they get a full launch out there and they have more DLC and stuff coming out, it'll be a bit better. But there is a story, from what I understand. It's definitely nothing compared to the main game. It's just something that's there.
I was actually complaining about the story because when you first start the game online, you can't just hop right in. They do a whole story. You actually have to play the story, and it's like, what the hell is this? Me and Caboose did a team up for a mission together.
Cool.
So it's cool in that way.
I mean, I've played it a little bit, but I just go on there and just slaughter people, or get slaughtered. But sometimes I'll go on a kill spree of 5 or 7 or 8 people in a row. Then I'll get killed 3 or 4, in a row. If you go up against a really good sniper, and you keep spawning, you keep getting shot until you pretty much got to change servers. So it's pretty much just been that for me, kill or be killed, running around the the server. I haven't really played it much more than that. That's not enough for me to stay interested, But look, unbelievable. I hope we get some DLC. I don't know if we will.
I
but
hope so. I hope we get some story DLC that you can
everyone keeps saying apparently that like it's just pure speculation, but they keep saying that we're gonna get like a Red Dead Redemption 1 remaster or something.
I would love that if they do it in the vein of how they just did the Resident Evil 2 one.
Maybe,
where they're adding to it and changing. Obviously, they can't change the map because the map is the map, right?
Yeah.
But adding more story elements, obviously updating the graphics and whatnot, but adding something to it that adds to it to make it more flesh. That was the thing about the first one, that even though I liked the game, I didn't love it like this one. I didn't feel like it was as fleshed out. I felt like the main storyline was there, but then they really wanted you to go out and do these side missions I didn't find very appealing.
Right.
Where this Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm in that whole story. I'm in with Arthur Morgan. I love all the characters. The whole thing with Dutch being the leader of the gang and how he keeps them together, but he's kind of almost like a cult leader, kind of talking to people. And
yeah, I
felt like the switching of the locations too, it made you feel like you were on the run, right? Because the part of the story is like you're on the run from all these different people, the Pinkertons, Cornwall, whoever, and like just changing location. You never got comfortable in one location. You didn't have a home base because
it kept on moving. After the first time you move from your very first camp, then you're like, oh, okay, we really aren't safe. Like, we got to be looking over our shoulders here.
Yeah, some things that I want to do that I still haven't done is like I still haven't seen the ghost in the swamp.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I want to go.
Did you do the alien? Did you do the UFO?
No, I haven't seen the UFO. Where is Arthur's grave? I want to go see Arthur's grave.
That I want to see too. I haven't. I got to look up exactly where it is on the map.
Because supposedly, depending on how your honor ended, is how many flowers are left on the grave.
Interesting.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
This game, they thought of everything.
Yeah.
Man.
Unbelievable. So like if you had really shitty honor,
you get like one flower or something,
or no flower or something like that, and then like literally like there's like the more honor or I guess, the better your honor was, the more flowers are in the grave. But, there's a location for the grave. I might just, Google it and go check it out this weekend. But I want to go up there and, like, take, maybe take Jack with me. It kind of sucks that there's no way to interact with Jack. Like, you can't have him, like, sort of buddy up with you. But there's a lot of the stranger missions are left. There's a lot of the hunting challenges, all the bounty hunting missions. I still haven't gone to Armadillo, so there's still a ton of stuff to do in that game.
Yeah,
go to Armadillo when you get a chance. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Anything else you guys want to talk about?
We didn't get Caboose's score.
Oh, Caboose. What's your score?
For sure. I mean, if I could go higher than 10, if I got to give it an 11, I agree with you, Mark. This is one of the greatest games of all time.
Yeah, I agree.
It's one of the best narrative experiences I've had with a video game, with a movie, with whatever. And I loved every single minute of it. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. I don't remember a time before where I was never bored. And some people did complain a little bit about Guarma and that whole, chapter 5 was a bit of a bore. For me, because of everything we've been through with the characters up until that point, I was still invested. I was still like, where are we going next? What's the next mission after this? How do we get off Guarma? How do we get off this island? So I was still fully invested through that entire chapter. And there was never a dull moment. And I think I cried like 2 times. Throughout the game. I don't know if you guys cried at all.
I got teary-eyed a couple times.
I didn't.
The horse
I don't know
dying.
if I cried. Yeah, the horse was rough. The horse was rough.
The horse was rough. When Arthur died, I definitely teared up. But for me, one of the also real sad moments is it's towards the end of the game, towards when Arthur's about to die, and he's riding back to camp, and it kind of starts hitting cutscenes for you, and you hear like voiceover or like things that Arthur's thinking about, and he hears Mary, that girl that he loved. He hears her say like that he was a good man, and when I hear that, I was like, man, that's what he's thinking about right now,
Yeah.
He's trying to find the redemption in himself, and that got me teary eyed. So there hasn't been a game in a long time that's made me cry like that. That's really gotten emotion out of me.
There's one scene with Arthur at a train station with a nun that that scene was very, very touching.
I couldn't get that scene because I didn't get to the side mission with the nun.
Yeah, I don't think I got that either.
Yeah,
but I saw it on YouTube, and that is a very good scene.
Yeah, that's kind of where he talks a lot about getting the tuberculosis, about the reality of his things.
Damn, I gotta go online and research a lot of the stuff that I missed, and especially the tuberculosis, how he got it, and how it was explained.
And there's actually a mission where you give money to the woman and the child of the guy with the tuberculosis to kind of sort of make amends for it.
And then when you go back to camp, you actually kick Air Strauss out of camp. Like you get him to leave.
Oh, wow.
Really?
I didn't get any of that. I didn't get any of that.
Yeah. Did you do the mission where you end up giving money to the woman?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so apparently after you do that mission, if you head back to camp, there's a whole cutscene where Arthur kicks Strauss out of camp. Like he tells him to leave.
Strauss is still out there. It's funny. There's a lot of people you can still find in the game.
No, Strauss dies. He dies.
Does he?
Yeah. In one of the things they say, I forgot who tells, either Charles or Uncle says something about how he got captured and they tortured. The Pinkertons got him. They tortured him, but he didn't talk. And then he says a line about how, like, sometimes people, like, you think of them one way, but, like, really, in those type of things, you show, like, what kind of man he really is. Like, basically saying he's a good guy because he didn't break, he didn't rat on it.
Yeah, I mean, this game is just like, it's like a 50-episode television show. Yeah. It's unbelievable how deep it is. But look, maybe when the online comes back, we'll talk more about this game.
Yeah, definitely. This game is definitely an achievement. So if you've been listening to us talk this whole time about Red Dead Redemption 2, I had a blast talking to you guys about this.
Yeah. Put your score down there.
Yeah. So I think I think this is something we'll be talking about further.
Yeah.
Because I think we it's so there's so much layers to this game. Mm-hmm. So all right, guys, that's it for this Collider Games podcast. Special podcast.
Spoiler review.
Yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 spoiler review. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Collider Games, and also find our podcast on the Factory feed, Collider Factory, and all that good stuff. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.